Sweet.
Yeah. If you hear this music, this is the Great Muta edition. I'm carrying the NWA World Championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting from the land of the rising sun, he is the Pearl of the Orient, the Great Muta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if you note the name change going on, you'll saw why I did that intro that way.
Yes, I sprayed out the water. I just did your base. God damn it. Yes. So yes, we doing this and everything else. I think I sprayed the whole damn bit. But anyway, so hopefully everybody had a wonderful day. So yes. So we're going to talk about nothing but Great Muta as for tonight, because we celebrate his career and his legacy in Japan.
And also 60th birthday, which by the way is coming up this Friday. So KG, son, early happy birthday.
Ah yes, happy birthday. And also for the last episode 24, it is available on Spotify only, because StreamYard acting a little crazy, but you can check that on Spotify, and it should be available today.
Yeah, man. Well, let's go back to where the road all began. Yep, back when we barely existed on this planet. October 5th, 1984 was the day we were first introduced to Keiji Muto. And ironically enough, his opponent would go on to be one of his biggest rivals and sometimes ally in Japan, Masahiro Chono.
Oh yes, that's one of his close colleagues, his close friends, and his best rivalry. And to start off from Japan in a very early years, I should say a young lion of him. So built off career from that start, and that's how to start from the Great Muta career from the get-go.
Yep, and then of course in 1985, when he went to his first excursion, he became a NWA Florida heavyweight champion, as well as a Southern United States junior heavyweight champion, where at this point he was then recognized as the White Ninja. Let's see if I can see who he defeated for that championship. He would go on to defeat. All right, so that one. Oh, here we go. He actually go on to defeat Kendall Windham, who's of course, the brother of Barry. And by the way, Godspeed to him. And actually, Barry would also play a role later in Muta's career. For the Southern Junior Heavyweight Championship, he would defeat. Let's see where. Yeah, I was trying to see where that victory took place. He actually defeated Tim Horner of the. Yeah, but then the title was awarded back because of outside interference. So Muta, even before his most famous run, actually was gaining some recognition here in the United States.
Oh yeah, his time in the U.S. is very well known, and if you look back, let's see, and say in WCW, that's where he mostly well known in WCW in the 80s and 90s, pretty much around the Jim Crockett era, the NWA era. Yeah. And when he was there, he made like an impact when he fought the Great Kabuki, not Great Kabuki,
Yeah.
when he fought Lex Luger, Ric
Yep.
Flair, and of course one of the most well-known feud, Sting. We see
Yep.
Sting and Great Muta wrestle each other, or even team up together, in which we will talk about that very much later. They always had great chemistry, and during that time back in the day, there were, how can I say, there were no flashy moves,
Mhm.
but Great Muta was great. As a great technician in a more speedy way, and Sting, he was more of a powerhouse technician. And when these two guys clash, they always have an amazing match and great storytelling as well.
And afterwards, but what a lot of people forget about Muda is that as accomplished as he was as a singles wrestler, though, that he was also very accomplished as a tag team wrestler. As a matter of fact, on 6 occasions, and he was a IWGP Tag Team Champion. Of course, the first reign coming all the way back in 1987 with let's see, what Shiro Koshinaka, and then of course later Muto would take on the now versus new feud where he would align himself with Antonio Inoki, taking on men such as Tatsumi Fujinami and Riki Choshu, who he would have um, legendary battles with later in his career.
Hmm. Yeah, and Japan, yeah, he's more of a he can play both ways. He can play either a tag team or or a single competitor. That's was a great thing about Great Muta, and Great Muta will always have great moments. And I seen in one match it was Great Muta and Sting against the Steiner brothers,
Yep.
and them two guys they connected, and it was very fast paced. And after they did like a double bulldog sequence, Sting got Great Muta hoist up over his head and tossed him off the rope, over the rope into the opponents. And that was great teamwork, and that was very innovative back in the day. So Great Muta always come out awesome when you team up with him, and which we will see again very soon next year.
Yeah. And speaking of Muda and teaming, of course, I know our board professor, who sadly could not be with us today due to personal conflict, due to personal issues. Yeah. Um, he would know that Muda would actually team up with Shinya Hashimoto and Masachono to form one of the most infamous groups of Japanese wrestlers. I think they formed down in Puerto Rico called the Three Musketeers, as they were called, as they were called by their Japanese name, Tukan Sanjushi.
Yes, Masawa Chano and Shina Hishimoto, two former IWGP Heavyweight Champions, um, two former G1 Climax winners, and of course the legends of IWGP, not IWGP, the legend of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Three team up together. They only wrestled one time in Japan, but mostly they returned back in Puerto Rico, wrestle, and plus Muto did move to Dallas, wrestle in the most well-known company, WCCW, World Class Championship Wrestling. Um, had a short feud with Karen Von Erich, and then after that, had some match in America, and mostly work with NWA.
True. And speaking of world class, there's a man there who was very familiar with that promotion who would ultimately become Muda's manager. That, of course, being the infamous Gary Hart. Yeah. And yeah, Muda would make his debut on March 18th, 1989 on World Championship Wrestling, would build up quite a bit undefeated streak. But then, as he alluded to, in just a quick amount of time, he would start what would become one of his greatest rivalries at the at the Great American Actually, let me go back before that because just before, yeah, Muta got into it at Wrestle War with Dangerous Doug Gilbert, who was the brother of the late Hot Stuff Eddie. And then shortly after that, yeah, Muta would be in a match with Hot Stuff, and of course, that infamous Green Mist would wind up temporarily taking Hot Stuff out of action. And then Gary Hart, Gary Hart would set Muta's sights on the NWA World Television Championship held by none other at that time than Sting. And of course, they would have a classic matchup at the Great American Bash that year, that which would end in a double pinfall and keep the championships surrendered for most of that summer. But the Great American Bash also marked another pivotal point because later on in the main event, Hart would be the surprise manager of Terry Funk in his attempt to become the NWA heavyweight champion. But unfortunately, Ric Flair would wind up retaining the title, spoiling Funk's plans. After that match, Muta would attack Flair, and then Terry Funk and Muta will wind up attacking him until Sting came to the aid of the Nature Boy, a man who he was rivals with just 1 year earlier at the first Clash of Champions, setting up a great series of matches between those two.
Yes, and I think that one lead up to a Thunderdome steel cage match in a next event.
Yeah,
Sting.
Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, one of the most interesting pay-per-views with Sting, Ric Flair against Terry Funk and Great Muta. That was a good match, good gimmick steel cage match back and forth, and all of them boost up their career.
Yep.
And when Great Muta coming in America, he didn't portray like one of those stereotypical gimmick back in the days. He played more of a mythical villain you get from like a comic book, and that's one thing that people love or gravitate towards Great Muta during that time period. And the things that we never see before, like the Mist. The Mist is one of the most iconic moves in professional wrestling history, and he set the trend for that for any Asian wrestler, or should I say Japanese wrestlers. And you look back from that to now, everybody doing the Green Mist or the Mist. Asuka, Tajiri.
Yeah,
That's one place I can think of.
yeah, there's several throughout there, but of course, and what many people remember about Muta when Gary Hart introduced him, yeah, he introduced him as the man who actually Muta was influenced by the Mist. That, of course, being the Japanese legend, the Great Kabuki. And yep, then, of course, Muta would wind up popularizing the Green Mist, but would also introduce red and I think he also had red and yellow mists as well. And of course, at the time, Muta also would be a frequent defender of the NWA World Television Championship, which he defeated Sting for in a rematch later. But then here's where things took a little bit of a bad turn for Muta. Was near the end of his excursion, and of course, the rivalry of the return, I should say, to Four Horsemen. And at Starrcade '89, Muta was actually swept, being pinned by both Ric Flair and Sting, and then earned a disqualification against the Total Package Lex Luger.
Mm-hmm. And after that, his time in WCW about to be up, and around like January, around like probably 90, he pretty much lost his title to Arn Anderson, and on the episode of Powerhouse.
Yep.
And then after that, fast forward to a Clash of Champion, made his final match, and sometime go between his real name as Kenji Muto and left WCW for New Japan once again and found his rise once again.
And actually, it's actually funny about Muta's final night in WCW, which many people may all remember a little bit more so because that was the night Sting got injured and kicked out of the Four Horsemen. Oh, what was supposed to be a slated match between Flair, Arn Anderson, and Sting wound up against Great Muta, Buzz Sawyer, and the Dragon Master wound up becoming Flair, Arn, and Ole Anderson against Atex Corporation. And what a lot of people also forget about Muto is that just around this time, yeah, like you said, he shortly after he returned to New Japan, yeah, he would team with Chono again to win his second IWGP Tag Team title, defeating, ironically enough, Hashimoto and Masa Saito.
Yes, it's his former Three Musketeers stablemate, and they held that title for at least like 6 months, and after that they lost the title to Hiroshi Hase and Kazusuke Sasuke on November 1st, and then entering Kashushu Cup tournament, which he defeat Chano to advance final, and then later on he lost to, of course, Hashimoto.
Yeah.
And then Kenji Moto introduced his Great Muta for the first time in New Japan against Samurai Shiro. So
Yeah.
he brought his character back.
Yeah. And of course, and then of course later that month, Muta had a tremendous victory over former NWA World Champion Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And then um and then later that year, of course, at the final Starcade at the Old Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis, Muta and Saito, ironically enough, will wind up becoming partners in the late Pat O'Connor Cup, where they would advance to the finals but lose to the eventual champion, and not to mention at that time reigning United States Tag Team Champions, the Steiner Brothers. And then when we enter 1991, of course, we remember the big Starcade Tokyo, which was aka WCW Japan Super Show 1, where he and Sting got into a classic match, and this one would end controversially as Sting went for the Stinger Splash, but then Muta in mid-move would use the miss to pick up the win.
Yes. And after that, he pretty much moved on after from the WCW, and he continued on surpassing like Antonio Inoki, Tatsumi Fujinami, Riki Shonu, entering the G1 Climax tournament and work his way up over to the finals. And then after that, but he did lose to Scott Norton, but defeat Tatsuya Fuji and Vader, and go to a final face off Chono, which turned out to be a long match, a very long, like an hour, half an hour match, and lost to him. And then and then we got Hashimoto come out of nowhere and just celebrate with them. Had a little reunion, so it was a great moment for Great Muta.
Yeah,
I should say for them.
And then of course Muta would go on to win his third IW Tag Team Championship. With Hirohase, ironically enough. Yes. Yeah, this time they would defeat Rick Steiner and Scott Norton. And then of course Yeah, and the Super Warriors in Tokyo Dome, which is also the January 4th, another predecessor to Wrestle Kingdom. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, this one was actually history in the making, as rivals would now become allies, as Sting and the Muta would team up and defeat the Steiners.
Yep, that was a huge moment for them. That was a huge moment for that show. And then after that, Muto and Hase lost the IWGP Tag Team titles to Big Van Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow,
Mhm.
which one of the most dominant tag team at the time. But he went back to his old routes, becoming a single competitor and gaining his first shot for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Ricky Chono, which he did not win the title, unfortunately. But he went back participate in the G1 Climax for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, in which, to be honest, that's the first time ever in New Japan history that the G1 Climax awarding the title that's not belong in the IWGP. Because usually the winner would get a shot for the title or win the vacate IWGP Heavyweight Championship. But for this one, it's for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. You know, defeating the likes of Barry Windham's, uh, also Stone Cold Steve Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Well,
Stunning Steve
Stunners. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be something he did. But yeah, Stunning Steve Austin and the quarterfinal, and before losing to Mashiro Chono in the semifinal. So he been chasing for the world title for a hot minute.
Yeah, but just a few days after that semifinal loss, yeah, to Chono, Muda would get revenge at the to win the greatest 18 club championship and the IWGP title, defeating Ricky Choshu. Yeah, on August 16th. And then, yeah, after defeating Shinya Hashimoto, yeah, he will retire the greatest 18 club title and keep going on, and ultimately it would lead to a match at the Fantastic Story, aka WCW New Japan Super Show 3, where it was title for title, Muta versus Chuno, and Muta would become the NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Hmm. Being become the second and only two men who held the both titles at the same time. First being Tatsumi Fuji after losing the NWA title in WCW. Um, he had many title defense, but he lost to Hulk Hogan at Wrestling Dontaku in May, and then successfully defended his title against the Great Kabuki. This match between these two was bloody because from the beginning, uh, Great Muta come out of nowhere and start blasting the kicks to the face, and then leaving over the mist to the face, kind of blinding him. So once the referee got knocked down a little bit, he went over, grabbed the title, come back and clock him in the forehead, and bust him open, and it lead to like a very a violent match, uh, very wild, crazy, violent match, but it happened. They fought each other all over the ring, almost into the crowd. It was a wild, crazy match. But Great Kabuki, he got back at him, um, throw a miss of his own as well, and he bust him up as well, him and the belt, and them two go back and forth. But he retained the title in a wild, crazy, bloody fashion, and make him a little bit of a hardcore icon. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But
Yeah, actually, it's funny because being a quote unquote father versus son match in a sense. Yeah, but then Muto would go on to lose the IWGP title to his other Three Musketeer, Hashimoto. And then after, and ironically enough, he would go on to team with Hulk Hogan later in the year against the Hellraisers, being Sasaki and Road Warrior Hawk, and ultimately he would close the year. He would close 1993 trying to regain the title from Hashimoto, but he would ultimately fail. And then Muta would team with Hase and would actually lose to the Steiners in January of 94. Now, what made this match interesting was at this point in time, the Steiners were under contract to the WWF.
Let's see. I do remember. The Stein Bros. They were wrestling WWF in '94.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember that
93,
time.
94.
Yeah, between the two them years. Yeah, I remember that part. But I guess the first one did the Forbidden Doors back in the days.
Yep. And then, of course, later in May at Wrestling Dontaku, yep, Muto would face Inoki one on one in that match, and naturally enough, Inoki won. Um, but then October, yeah, Muta and Hase would wind up regaining some momentum, winning the Super Great Tag League, where they would defeat Chono and Super Strong Machine in the finals to wind up earning a tag team title match against the Hellraisers. And yep, Muta and Hase would become the champions again, making this Muta's fourth time as a champion.
And then they did it again. Successfully defeat the tag team, defend the tag team titles against Stein Brothers and Battle 7. So that's their different version of the Wrestle Kingdom. And then Buddha lost to Scott Norton for the number one contender for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. But he did receive a second chance against Shinya Hashimoto at Wrestling Dotaku, where he defeats him, captures his second IWGP Heavyweight Championship, but had to vacate the tag team title 3 days later to focus on the Heavyweight Championship.
Yep. And by the way, I should actually go back to something just to throw in some because we should remember Muta in between this right before this time frame, uh right before he won the NWA title from Chono. Of course, he won the second ever Battle Bowl back at Starrcade 92. Ironically enough, eliminating Barry Windham, who would defeat him at Super Brawl 3 for the NWA Championship. And then Muta would not be seen back in the United States until Spring Stampede that year, where he would lose to Stunning Steve in a U.S. title match by disqualification. And then let's see, and then after this, yeah, and then after regaining the IWGP title from Hashimoto, Muto would then compete at Slamboree 95 and defend the title successfully against Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
Oh yes, pretty much he going back and forth with U.S. and Japan between WCW and New Japan. So he's pretty much like a freelancer, pretty much. But
Yep. But a great achievement he would do would be later in August when he would win the G1 Climax, beating Hashimoto. And what made this one special is because Muto was actually the reigning IWGP champion. So only one of two men, the other being Kensuke Sasaki in 2000. Yeah, still to this day, they're the only men to accomplish this feat.
well, yes, kind of like a very short list of men who comes in as champions and win the G1 Climax. And I don't think we see ever. I don't think we're gonna see that for a very long time. But after that, Um, he held the title the rest of the year, and then of course he successfully defended the title against Junji Hara. Then he lead to New Japan into an open battle feud with Nobu Hiko Takada and the UWFI Army. It's kind of like a hybrid wrestling, kind of like MMA meets pro wrestling, kind of like a shoot fighting style. Um, defeat Tanaka and Takada in the fourth defending title, and closing out the year with a great title defense against Shiro Kashi Nada. But he finally loses the title to Takada in a Wrestling World of January 4th, 1996.
Yep. Yeah, and then of course, in '96, then, um, yeah, Muta would, return at that year. I believe it's Slamboree, where he would lose to, or no, actually, he didn't return at Slamboree. Yeah, Muta would make another off and on appearance in WCW, and of course, at this time, yeah, there'd be NWO Japan, which was led by Masahiro Chono, and then of course, yeah, there was off and on teases and turns. Oh, would Muta go? Would he not go? And then, let's see. Yeah, then of course, Muta would actually wind up joining on an episode of WCW Monday Nitro midway through 1997 when Sonny Ono brought him in to face Chono, but midway through, yeah, Sonny Ono realized something was up and that Muta wasn't wrestling full heartedly, and that's when Muta would missed Ono and then revealed that he was part of NWO Japan. However, yeah, this was actually revealed about a couple of days earlier because Muta would double cross Kazuo Yamazaki and Kensuke Sasaki in a six-man tag team match. And that's where he officially would have joined NWO Japan prior to the appearance on Nitro.
Yes, I think that's by seeing Great Muta being part of the NWO, mostly through Nitro, and a little bit of Japan, New Japan, where you catch it on TV while I was stationed there at Yokota Air Force Base. But that was a fun year for not only for WCW but for New Japan when you got NWO, she'll say NWO Typhoon taking over, and then not only that, you think about Moto have headlined Final Power Hall and Tokyo Dome, but unsuccessfully challenged Kensuke Sasaki for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Moto Chano was forced to vacate the IWGP Tag Team Championship because Moto injured his knees. Pretty much the years of doing moonsault, but he's still doing moonsault to this day. But he took a break just before returning back to 98 G1 Climax, but he got eliminated by Jin Ichiro Tenjiro in the first round. But Muto, he been going through a lot of injuries from 98 through 99. Finally, he took over as a leadership at NWO after Chano suffered a neck injury, and turning NWO as a face. I thought the Wolfpack would be the only face stable of NWO, but Japan they face turn in which it was kind of ironic that all three of us, myself, you, and Antonio, shout out to them, we talked about heels, and it's kind of hard to turn the heel in Japan But
Yeah,
now it's pretty much it's easy to be a babyface in Japan because the fans enjoy them one way or another. So they're very likable, very lovable NWO. And after that, start teaming up with Sato Kojima, won the Super Great Tag League, defeating Shinya Hashimoto and Tatsumi Fujinami in a fight on December 6th.
yeah, which makes Muta's second win in the Super Great Tag League. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. And of course, right back to wrestling world, January 4th, Muto had defeat one of Chono right hand man, Scott Norton, to win his third IWGP Heavyweight Championship. They received Masero Chono returned to Japan, disagreed with Muto, uh, leadership of the NWO, leaving the group, have feuding with him over the name of the NWO, and start a war between the two. And that's where Chono have called Team 2000.
Yep.
So we got Hiroshi Tenza and Satoshi
Yeah.
Kujinama,
Yeah.
and align himself with Don Fryer, Super J, and of course the OGs, the NWO.
Yeah. And for those who don't know Super J, yeah, that's aka NWO Sting.
Yes, which he belong in the Hall of Fame very soon. so, so Moto successfully defended the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Kensuke Saki in a St. Valentine Massacre,
Yep.
and the member of 2000 Don Fry added a strong style sympathy,
Yep.
and G Ichiro Tenjuru
Yeah, Tenru. Yeah.
Tenru on May 5th, and of course Sato Kajama on July 2nd, 22nd,
Yeah.
20th.
Then of course Muto will follow up in the G1 where he lose to the Dragon Fujinami, and then went all the way to the final against Manabu Nakanishi, losing that one. And of course, that would set up a championship match at Final Doom, where Muto would once again remain champion. And then at Jingle Climax, in a no rope explosive barbed wire barricade explosive landmine double hell death match. Hey, try saying that one 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He would defeat the Great Nita, aka Atsushi Onita. Yeah, in that match to retain his championship. Yeah. And then Muda would go on to the Super Great Tag League, this time with Scott Norton as a partner. Yeah, defeating Nakanishi and Yuji Nagata in the finals, giving Muda his third win in the Super Great Tag League. And I believe that was also his final win.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, actually, at that point, I think they did change it to G1. Yeah, so actually, he's a 5 time like overall tag league champion. Of course, the two Itase in 93 and 94, which I believe one of the few times that they've won in back to back year. One of the few teams to win in back to back years. And then Muto winning 3 straight years, 97 with Chono, 98 with Kojima, and of course 99 with Norton.
Mm-hmm. But with wins, he pretty much took some loss. He pretty much lose his title, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, to Jin Ichiro Teru. Um, have a war with Chono, but he lost by Muta at 2000 Wrestling World event by defeating by Chono. He took a break just to rehab his knee injuries, and after that, focus on one last run in America, making the breakup with the NWO Japan, the merger into Chono Team 2000.
Yep. Yeah, and then of course that famous last run. Yeah, I should say more infamous last run would be part of Vampiro's Dark Carnival in WCW 2000 when it was kind of like the new breed kind of thing. Um, Yeah, yeah, he would start off actually teaming with the Young Dragons to take on 3 Count and take Abbott. And then a week later, he would defeat Vampiro in the quarterfinals of a U.S. title tournament. And then later that night, he was beaten by Mike Awesome in the semifinals. However, Muta would taste the WCW gold later on as he and Vampiro defeated Chronic at New Blood Rising to become the tag team champions. But they would wind up losing it the next night to the Filthy Animals team of Rey Mysterio and Juventud Guerrera. And of course, one last time, midway through that feud, midway through his association with Vampiro, he would reignite his rivalry with Sting, and that would come to a head in September 2000 in Lubbock.
Yes, I remember that. It was a very interesting year for WCW. Having Great Muta join the faction after he left one faction to another, and him teaming up with Vampiro, the Insane Clown Posse. Um, who else? Oh God, the Misfits, the one with the
Yeah,
spiky long black hair. I forgot what boy name. Um, it was a very weird faction, but I kind of forgave him because that was in 2000, and WCW kind of lost its way. But Great Muta did have his time, but his contract was up, and he left, and there was no compete clause, so it prevent him to go to WWE. But I don't think he would have went to WWE. I think he went most likely went back to Japan, most likely.
yeah, and then of course, yeah, Muta's career would then take as he went back to Japan. Yeah, he would go to FMW, um, but unfortunately, Hayabusa would be injured prior to Wrestling World 2000. Yeah, and of course, Muto would then shave his head and grow out a goatee and align himself with a man who's a former WCW Cruiserweight champion in Shindro Otani. And then they would go, of course, at Wrestling World on January 4th, 2001, taking care of Manabu Nakanishi and Jushin Thunder Liger.
Hmm. And not only that, he may appear in All Japan Pro Wrestling when he debuted King Road New Century, defeating Tayo Kia, and that's
Yep.
where he finally showcased his new move, the Shining Wizard, defeating
Yeah.
Katsunari Murakabe.
Yep. Yeah. And then, of course, a lot of people forget that, Muda was the innovator of the Shining Wizard. And, afterwards, Muda would team with Otani and Don Fry, which would be known as Badass Translate Treaty. Yeah. And then, Taio Kea, who Muda would face in his All Japan debut, they would yeah, he would join back as well as Michinoku Pro's Jinsei Shinzaki, aka Hakushi for those of you in of WWE and ECW fame. And then Muda would defeat Toshiaki Kawada at Champion Carnival One Night Special April 14th before going to Superforce Group Declaration, where he would defeat his former tag team partner Hirohase.
Hmm. And after that, After that, he will like pretty much enter the 2001 G1 Climax, which he win all the matches in his block except for Satoshi Kachame, and then he qualified for the semi match where he defeat Tado Tasuda. Then he lose to Yuji Nagata in a final. But then he would defend his Super Cruiserweight Championship in New Japan, which it was the first time against Scott Hall, and which he
Yo.
retained. Yeah. So shout out to Scott Hall. No, this is his second world title shot. And WCW, no, take it back. This is third title shot
Third.
in his career. The WWF against Bret Hart in Royal Rumble 93, then Uncensored 97,
Eight
98, and then,
against Sting.
mm, and now, Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship against Muta.
Yeah.
And that's something.
Yeah. Yep. Then of course Muta Hase would then go on to lose to Yuji Nagata and Jun Akiyama. Yeah. Who AAW fans just saw recently.
Yes.
Indicated next. And that Muta would actually go on to capture the All Japan World Tag Team title against uh teaming up with Taiyo KM, defeating Tenru and Yoji Anjo on October 22nd. And then, of course, Muta would then defend the Triple Crown title against Chono on 5 days later. The following day, Muto and Kea defeated Osamu Nishimura and Tatsumi Fujinami in a title for title, becoming the first team to unify both the All Japan and IWGP World Tag Team titles, and making Muta do a little bit of becoming the tag team version of Ultimo Dragon, having 6 belts at one time.
Yeah, he had to carry all them titles like FTR back in the day
Yeah.
because he won every single tag team titles
Yeah.
and he had to go all different promotions just to win them all.
Yeah,
And
it's a triple. Yeah, having a triple crown title. Yeah,
mhm.
both of the All Japan tag titles. Yeah, yeah, I can understand. Then Muto and Muto and KO would go on to win the Real World Tag League, defeating Mitsuya Nagai and Toshiaki Kawada. Yeah, making Muto one of the few, if not the only superstars to win both the Tag League in All Japan and in New Japan. And then, of course, Muto would finish off the year successfully defending the Triple Crown title against the Dragon on December 11th. And then Muto would go on to wrestle his last match as a member of New Japan roster at Wrestling World on January 4th, 2002, where he and Hase would defeat Nishimura and Fujinami. And then he would defect full time to All Japan, which would strip him of the IWGP title, tag team titles, on February 2nd.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then skipping down to when Muta made appearances. Yeah, he'll also fight Toshiaki Kawada and Dr. Death Steve Williams in singles action throughout 2001. Um, let's see what else. Yeah, yeah, he also takes Satoshi Kojima and Kendo Kashin with them to All Japan, and then yeah, Muto and Kea would defend the All Japan tag titles against Mike Barton and Jim Steele on the 14th. If those names sound familiar to you a little bit, yeah. Hold on, I'm trying to see if yeah, um, yeah, Mike Barton, yeah, who you guys may remember, it's Bart Gunn in the WWF as part of Smoking Guns, and then of course the Brawl for All winner. Um, yeah, Jim Steele had a brief run in WCW where he was called Jungle Jim Steele.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and had that yeah, had that like one brief appearance where he got his ass kicked by 911 at at ECW barbed wire hoodies and choke slams. Yeah. And yes, that's actually the name of the event. But like I said, this is ECW.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Muta would then go, but Muta would go on to lose the Triple Crown title to Kawada on February 24th, and then yeah, and then Muta would go on to face Doctor Death in a singles match on pay per view, which Doc would wind up winning.
Mm-hmm. So pretty much he participated in a 2002 Champion Carnival where he only lost 2 matches in block while winning the rest of his matches. Advanced to the knockout stage on April 10th, where he defeated Satoshi Kajama in a semi-final match, Bart Gunn or Mike Barton, and to finally win the tournament. And then 3 days later, the Grand Champion Carnival Muta faced Hiroshi Tenryu in a match for the vacate Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship. After Kawada forced to vacate the title due to injury, Muto lost the match. And a couple months later, Muto teamed with George Hines and Kaz Hashi as trio won the Giant Baba 6-Man Cup tournament on July 17th. Muto and Kia lost the World Tag Team Championship to Chronic, who was in WCW at the time.
Yep.
And
or actually no, because at that point, yeah, Chronic was out of it. Yeah, because remember, because in 2002 WCW was closed.
oh shit, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
so
in 2003. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Anyway, at Nippon Budokan, following a couple of days later, yeah, Muto would pull a McFoley and wrestles 3 different people. Yeah, first he would wrestle as Kokushi Muso, defeating Kazayashi, who you guys may yeah. Is that the same? Yeah, that would be the same Kazayashi from WCW.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, then he will wrestle as himself in a 6-man tag team match. And then yeah, defeat Kojima under his Muta persona. Yeah. And then September 30th, during All Japan's 30th anniversary. Yeah. Makoto Baba officially announced Muta's appointment as the new president of All Japan, transferring all of the family stock of Giant Baba under to his name. But Muta would still continue to wrestle full time for All Japan at that point. Yeah, going to the Royal Road 30 Giant Battle and Budokan final, where Muta would defeat Tenryu for his second Triple Crown heavyweight title.
Then he lost to everybody's favorite wrestler, Bob Sapp, in a, in a non-title match at Wrestle 1. Then Muta entered the Real World Tag League along with Animal Warrior, but failed to advance in the tournament. Muta successfully defended the titles against the Gladiator at the first title defense.
AKA Mike Isom.
Oh yes, RIP to Awesome. Defense on January 13th, 2003, and then on January 19th, Muta teams with Goldberg to defeat Chronic in a tag team match, in which lead to Chronic being injured in the match and being forced to retire. And that's
I know there's a pun there, folks.
But... Yeah. I'm like, dang, he's a career killer.
Mm,
Um, being forced to retire on the February 23rd. Muta lost the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship to Shinya Hashimoto.
yeah.
God damn, he gonna lose that man.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Like I said, people forget Muta and Hashimoto actually had a pretty long relationship as both allies and enemies as well. So yeah,
yeah,
because I know we look at Sting, I know we look at Chono, um, and matter of fact, another man people also forget, Muta and Liger even had a few long time rivals as well.
yeah. I'm starting to think that Muto and his crew is kind of like the Japanese version of the Click because everywhere they go, they become the champions or
Yeah,
tag team champions or world champion. I think they kind of like the Muto version of the Click without the screw job.
yeah, okay,
I'm just saying, but kind of like
yeah,
suspicious. Uh,
yeah. Then a little bit later, Muto entered the 2003 Champion Carnival, defeating John Tenta, aka Earthquake, in the quarterfinals, but he would lose to Arashi in the semifinals. But then a couple days later, Muto would team with Arashi to participate in a tournament for the vacant World Tag Team titles, which they would win by defeating Gigantes and the Gladiator in the semifinal. By the way, for those who weren't, Gigantes, if he was actually the Wall in WCW, or Sergeant AWOL for you Misfits fans.
uh,
And then in the championship match, they would defeat Kojima and Jimmy Yang.
yes.
Yeah. Now wait a minute. I was thinking of something. Oh no, wait a minute. No, this would have been before Yang went to the WWF.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah, when
I
he
th-
went to yeah, because remember when him and Akio would be the bodyguards for Tajiri?
oh yes, I remember. Yes, I remember that. And then after that, he became the country Jimmy Yang Wang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but Muto failed to become the number one contender for the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship by losing to Toshiaki Karawa after successfully defeating the tag team titles Muto and Hiroshi in the Real World Tag League, but they failed to advance in the tournament on December 27th. Muto made a return to the United States Wrestling for Ring of Honor promotion as a part of International Promotion All Japan versus Ring of Honor card, which hosts a series of cross-promotional dream match. In the main event, Muto revert to his Great Muta persona, a team with Arashi to defeat Profit member Christopher Dan Maeve, and Muto and Arashi finally lost the tag title to Kaz Hashi and Sato Kojima on January 18, 2004.
Yeah, and then yeah, then next Muto would then go on to support All Japan in a feud with the stable known as Roughly Obsess and Destroy. Yeah, which was headed by Taka Michinoku and yeah, yeah, featured men such as D'Lo Brown, Bull Buchanan, Jamal, yeah, all at different points in time. This Justin Credible's in the group for a while, Matt Morgan, um, Gigantes and the Gladiator, even Muta's former partner Taio Kea in this one, and on that, yeah, and spent most of competing in several matches against him. Muta would then go in 2004, winning the Champion Carnival by defeating Takao Omori in the semifinal and Kitsuke Sasaki in the final. And then Muta would go on to beat Osamu Nishimura at Battle Banquet, and then teamed with Nishimura in November for the 2004 Real World Tag League, but did not advance.
Hmm. In 2005, Muto defeated his young lion Hiroshi Tanahashi of New Japan at Realize. That's a strange name. On July 26th, Muta received a title shot against Asoshi Kojima for a Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship, but failed to win the title. While continuing to feud with uh, roughly obsessed and destroyed, Muta and supporter from All Japan Pro Wrestling rosters also feuding with Voodoo Murderers, in which I do remember that stable. In November, Muta teamed with Akebono as they enter the 2005 Real World Tag League, making it to the final against Team 3D, which they lost.
Damn. Yeah. That one I gotta picture because I knew Muda had a long career, but I was like, I didn't think it would span long enough for we'd see him teaming with Akebono of all people. And yes, for those of you who watched WrestleMania 21, that Akebono, and much less teaming up against the Dudleys. Hey, that's
Yeah, that that I mean, you look back like 2005 was like a different time period for Japan. Like you got Hustle, you got New Japan was during the Antonio Inokiism, and then you got Pro Wrestling Noah was not hot at the time, but was there,
mhm,
and pretty much anybody teaming up with anybody, and it was like a whole batch of free agency in the pro world wrestling. And you look at Voodoo Murderer or VDM, like look at the members, like Giant Bernard, Johnny Stamboli, Chuck Palumbo, Shu Karo, Buchanan, D'Lo Brown, Ross, Sato Kojima, Zodiac, Silver King, Aldavari, Super Hate, Joe Dory, Les Hoyt, Michael Fate, uh, Ryuji Kaji Kata, Minoru, Les K, Kono, Rene Dupree, Charlie Halls, Big Daddy Voodoo, known as Big V, Mazda, Ketu. It's a whole list of names back in the day. And to be honest, I don't know, they still present to this day with a name like that. But and then you look at Great Muta, who teamed up with all people Akebono. And them two worked together against Team 3D. I think at the time, um, I think what they were wrestling TNA, I believe.
yep.
So they can freelance everywhere they want to do, and Great Muta could pick out or team up with anybody. It's kind of like dream partnership.
And yeah, and then let's see, a little bit later on, yeah, Muda would then go. Yeah, Muda would then go on to challenge Kojima for the Triple Crown title, but he would lose that one. Um, yeah, failing. Yeah, and after falling in the failing to become the inaugural F1 Tag Champions by teaming with Kanazuki. Um, oh no, actually, they will become the inaugural F1 Tag Champions, teaming with Kanazuki and defeating Hiroshi Tenzan and Akamasa Haraguchi. Yeah. And then
Mhm.
Great Muta would kick off 2007 by making his debut in England. Yeah. Yeah. Wrestling for Real Quality Wrestling, where he would defeat Martin Stone in a non title match, Stone being the RQW heavyweight champion at the point in time. Um, and then in February, he would team with Tajiri to defeat Gold Dust and Akushi. Boy, yeah, talk about another match we would have never expected to happen. Um, or actually, I should say Gold Dustin as this part of the time because like legal things. Yeah, Muto did participate in 2007 Champion Carnival. Yeah, yeah, where he finished with 6 points. Yeah, and then he would defeat Kawada in the finals, giving him his third Champions Carnival victory.
Hmm. Competing in the Black A, finished for the 6 points total, defeating To- Toshi Kawai in the finals. And March 30th, winning the tournament for a third time. Then Muta was in Orlando, Florida, working agreements between All Japan and TNA. He made appearance in the company under the Great Muta gimmick at the Destination X segment with Christian Cage. But he featured in multiple segments. Tip in Japan, where he spoke to his student Kira Rajin.
Yeah, who you guys may know now as Sushi.
Yes. Just began working at TNA. At Pro Wrestling Love in Yokohama, Moto unsuccessfully challenged Minoru Suzuki for the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship.
Hmm. Yeah, then later that year, Muda will once again win the Real World Tag League. Um, this time with Joe Daring. Yes, folks, that Joe Daring from Violent by Design. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, they would defeat Suwama and Kojima in the finals of that tournament. But and they would also become the All Japan Tag Champions again, defeating Kojima and Taru on January 3rd, 2008. Then Muda again would try to win Champion Carnival, but he would fail to advance to the round robin stage because he only won two matches in that one. And then, yeah, on June 28th, Muda and Daring would lose the tag titles to Minoru Suzuki and Taiokeya.
After 5 months of title reigns. And then, but Muda went back going a single route, winning the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in New Japan early in '08, successfully defending the title in All Japan against Hiroki Goto in All Pro Wrestling Love and Ryo Goto Volume 5 on September 29th. Muda wrestled as a Great Muta as he defeated Suwana to capture the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship for the third time, become the only become the only second wrestler after Soshi Kojima to hold the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship and the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at the same time. Then Muta successfully defended the title against Minoru Suzuki at Pro Wrestling Love and Ryo Goto Volume 6. Muta closed out the year with an unsuccessful stint in 2008 Real World Tag League, along with Wota Hama.
Yeah,
He's a big boy.
yeah. Let me tell you, yeah, that's right. Let me see this is. Yeah, build at almost 500 pounds. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a big ass man.
yeah. And then Muda would then go on to 2009, taking part in the tournament for the All Asia Tag Team titles, teaming with the Kaz Hayashi, defeating Ryota Hama and Shuji Kondo in the quarterfinals, but they would lose in the semis to Nosawa Rangai and Minoru Suzuki. Then on the 14th, Muto would defend his Triple Crown title against Yoshihiro Takayama. Then Muto would severely bloody him and even used the Shining Wizard to his opponent on the barricade. But during the match, his mask was ripped off and he was bleeding profusely. Towards the end, Takayama dominated Muta, but Muta reversed a kick into the Dragon Screw and attempted to use his famous mist against him, but Takayama blocked it and performed the ever suplex to dethrone Muta from the Triple Crown title.
Mm-hmm. After that, he participated in 2009 Champion Carnival, which he won 4 out of 5 matches in his block, only losing to Kaz Hayashi in results. Muto advanced to the semifinal of the tournament where he lost to Minoru Suzuki. Muto will spend the entire year representing all Japan in the match against Voodoo Murderers, Tokyo Gerutana, and F4. In November, Muta teamed with Masakatsu Funaki to participate in the 2009 Real World Tag League. The duo won the tournament, defeating Masuyuki Kono and Samwara.
Yeah. And let's see. Trying to see if I can see his real world tag record at this point. Yeah, I believe that was like I think that was actually his fourth, if I'm not mistaken, at this point in time. Um, then 2019, yeah, Muta and Funaki would which defeat Suzuki and Kea at on January 3rd, 2010, and then Muta would wrestle for PWG in LA at Wrestle Reunion 4, teaming up with Kai, where they would defeat where they would defeat Joey Ryan and Scott Lost in a tag match. And then Muta and Funaki were forced to vacate the titles due to Muta going through reconstructive knee surgery that kept him out of the ring for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm. And he returned back to All Japan as Great Muta at Pro Wrestling Love and Rio Goto Volume 10 in August, where he lost to Kenzo in a TLC match.
And yes, folks, that Kenzo would be Kenzo Suzuki of WWE fame.
Yes. Facing his former tag team partner, Masakatsu Funaki, in a special return match, which ended in a 30-minute time limit draw. On October 24th, Muto unsuccessfully challenged Kazuhashi for the World Junior Heavyweight Championship. Oh, I know he was a junior heavyweight. Muto and Kanazuki lost the F1 Tag Team Championship to Ryota Hamada and Rokyu Choshu after a 4-year reign.
Yeah. And Koreki Choshu, just for the record, is not related to Riki Choshu, but he does bear and he does bear a heavy resemblance to him, which is why he got the name. All right, Muta would then go on to win the Junior Heavyweight Battle Royals at Korakuen Hall to kick off 2011 at Pro Wrestling Love in Ryogoku Volume 12. Muto and Kenzo defeated Akibono and Hama to win the World Tag Team titles, marking Muta's fifth and final run as a tag team champion.
Then at All Together, Muto teamed with Kenta Kobayashi, RIP them, to defend Takashi Lizuka and Toru Yano in a tag match. Then Muto and Kenzo lost the World Tag Team Championship to Dark Cripple and Dark Oz, ending the Muto final championship reign in All Japan.
Yeah, and then on June 2011, Muta announced his resignation as All Japan's president, although he did remain active as a wrestler and a member of the supervisory board. And Muta's reason for resigning stemmed from an incident where Yoshikazu Taru assaulted Nobuzaku Hirai backstage at an All Japan show, which led to Hirai suffering a stroke after competing in a match. Muta took blame for the incident, which led to All Japan suspending not only Taru, but also Kazuhiko Masada, Masayuki Kono, and Minoru Tanaka, who were present when the attack took place. After being on the mid card and being without a big fruit for most of 2011, Muta became the challenger for Noah's Jun Akiyama, who won the Triple Crown title from Suwama. And Muta reunited with Kenta Kobashi altogether to defeat Akiyama and Omori. And Akiyama challenged Muta to a match for the title, which Akiyama was successfully retained.
Hmm. Muta returned to U.S. to make an appearance to Pro Wrestling Syndicate in New Jersey, teaming with Kai to defeat Anthony Nese and Sami Callihan in a tag team match. And November 2012, Muta and his business partner sold all of their New Japan share to the Speed Company Corporation for 200 million yen. And on June 1st, 2013, Speed partner Nobu Shirihashi took over as a new president of All Japan, firing the previous president, Muta longtime right-hand man Masayuki Uchihara, in the process which lead to Muta resign from the promotion effective on June 30th, 2013.
Yep. And then Muta returned to New Japan as a member of the All Japan roster, teaming up with Bob Sapp to defeat Choten. Yeah, of course, that being Masachono and Hiro Tenzan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Muta next appeared at Pro Wrestlers Be Strongest, teaming with Nishimura, and a loss to, of course, Mr. High Fly Flow, the ace Hiroshi Tanahashi, and the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. Yeah, and that Muta will only wrestle in 2005 at Nexus 6, where he defeated Ron Waterman.
Then he appeared at Wrestle Kingdom 1, where he officially named it, where he reunited with a former partner and rival Masahiro Chono to defeat Ten Cozy. And the Super Dream Tag match pinned New Japan and All Japan wrestlers together. Then January 4th for Wrestle Kingdom 2, under Great Muta persona, he defeated Hiroki Goto. And then on April 27th, Muto defeated Shinsuke Nakamura to win his fourth IWGP Championship. This was his second appearance in 2008 for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he had not held the title for 8 years and 4 months prior to the win. After retaining the title against Mananobu Nakanashi and Toji Makabe, Muta defended the title against the former champion Shinsuke Nakamura at Destruction on October 13, retaining following a Frankenstein. He will lose the title to his former student Hiroshi Tanahashi in Wrestle Kingdom 3 on January 4th, 2009, after Tanahashi used his signature high fly flow twice to get the pin. After the match, Muta said that he had passed Tanahashi his sash after doing his best for over a year and a half, raised the worth of the title. Suggests that he will withdraw and leave New Japan to move their company forward. Muta will make his second appearance in New Japan in October 12th, commemorate Masahiro Chono's 25th year in professional wrestling as Muto Tima Chono and Kenta Kobashi to defeat Jun Akiyama, Mananobu Nakashi, and Sato Kojima in a six-man tag match.
Yeah, the next just place right here. Yeah, and then of course 2012 at Wrestle Kingdom 6. Yeah, Muta would defeat Tetsuya Naito in singles action. Then a year later, yeah, Muta would team with Otani. Yeah, replace for Daichi Hashimoto, who I believe was who is Shinya's son. Yeah, they were defeated by defeated by Tenkozy like in a rematch right there. And then Muto will return at Wrestle Kingdom 8, where he and Toriano defeated Minoru Suzuki and Shelton Benjamin of Suzuki-gun. Yeah, as the only face in the match, Muta turned on Yano toward the end. Yeah, but his green mist would accidentally hit Suzuki, leading to Yano getting the pin.
hmm And Muta and his great Muta persona was the last entrance of the Ring of Honor New Japan Rumble at G1 Climax Supercard. And we style that's my favorite pay-per-view a long time ago. On April 6, 2019, making his first appearance in full promotion in 5 years. Then February 19, 2020, Muta made his appearance at Tiger Hattori retirement show, known as Red Shoe,
Mm,
appearing along his fellow alumni, Riki Chono, the Great Kabuki, and Hiroshi Haas. Then this year of January 8th at Wrestle Kingdom 16, Muta teamed with Kato Kiyamuyama and losing effort against Kazuchika Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi during the main event of the match. And November 20th, Muta and a Great Muta persona compete in a premium New Japan match and a historic crossover event. Team with Chaos, Kazuchika Okada and Toru Yano defeat the United Empire, Grail Khan and Jeff Cobb and Henare, Aaron Henare.
yep, and just to think that just to think that Muta's career has spanned so long that he's now taking on like current the current aces of the fit, like Tanahashi, Okada. Um, this just speaks to how revered of a man Muta has become in this zone. Probably, I would say next to Inoki and Fujinami, I would say Muta is probably the most respected man in Japan's wrestling history. When it came to like, when it came to like, just like scientific wrestling, I would say, because of course we can't forget about Onita for what he's done for hardcore, but as far as men that were actually in Japan, yeah, Muta definitely, yeah, he would definitely be on the quote unquote Japan's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, he's up there. Like you can't talk about Japan without Great Muta. Same thing. You can't talk about Antonio Inoki. You can't talk about you can't speak about Japan without Kenji Muto, Antonio Inoki, of course Onita. Um, hell, we might throw in Bruiser Brody as well as a Genji as well. Um, hell, if you throw in the 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 new generation, or should I say the younger generation, Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi, um, even the hybrid division, I think we gonna go with Minoru Suzuki. But Keiji Muto can cross over any state and get that respect. Like not too many wrestlers could get that,
Yeah,
in America unless you're Undertaker or you're Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan. But Keiji Muto got it. He got that respect. He's kind of like uh not Tupac. He's kind of like the Jay-Z of wrestling. He's got that cool factor of him, and everywhere he go, they respect him and they look him as a goat. And that's the one thing that people recognize him as a goat of professional wrestling.
yeah. And then it would even continue because yeah, of course Muta's time in Wrestle, yeah, of course Wrestle One at the very first event, yeah, he and Bob Sapp would defeat Rene Dupree and Zodiac in the main event of that in that event. Of course, for those of y'all don't remember, yeah, Zodiac was also Jesus on WWE and Wrestling Society X on MTV, and Lujo Esquire for Lucha Libre USA, whatever. Um, yeah, and then yeah, during the second show, um, Muta and Tajiri would team up to defeat Zodiac and Dupree again. And then in October, Muto would announce his semi-retirement, saying he would only work on Wrestle One's larger events. And Muto put his career on the line at Kaizen Outbreak in March 2014, um, where he would team with Rob Terry and Taiokeya in a six-man tag, where they would defeat Dupre, Masayuki Kono, and Samoa Joe.
And since Wrestle One and TNA have had a relationship, Great Muta returned to the American promotion on Lightdown, where he and Sanada and Yasu defeat Chris Sabin and Chris Daniel and Kazarian in the six-man tag steel cage match. Muta returned to TNA in July 25th, defeating Robbie E on an Impact Wrestling taping in New York City. After the match, Sanada turned on Muta, and this match lead to Wrestle One Shoge Impact, where Great Muta defeat Sanada in the main event single match. And on September 22nd, Muta suffered his first direct loss since March 2012, when he submitted by Masayuki Kono in a 4-on-3 handicap match, where he and Nova's stable with Jiro Kurosho,
AKA Ikemen for you NXT fans.
Ah, yes, and him with the jacket. Koji Doi and Ryo Noe Fujinawa faced the Desperado stable Kono Kazama Sakamoto Ryo-sa. On October 12th, Moto as a Great Muta worked on TNA Bound for Glory event in Tokyo, teamed with Tajiri in a tag team event where they defeated James Storm and the Great Sonata.
And then, of course, November 1st, celebrating his 30th anniversary in professional wrestling, Muta defeated Kono to become the second Wrestle One champion. He would successfully defend the title on December 22nd against Seiya Sanada. And then on January 30th, he would defeat Manabu Soya. And then on 16th, Muta would return to TNA, defeating Mr. Anderson. Yep, as part of the Global Impact USA versus the World, but for losing to Kai on March the 8th.
Yes, and third defense. And on March 27th, Muto announced that he was stepping down as the president of Wrestle One, with Kaz Hasashi taking over the position. Muta remained the promotion as a representative director, and on June 8, 2019, Muta returned to Impact Wrestling, wrestling as the Great Muta in the main event and the night You Can't Miss event. In a tag match where he teamed with Tommy Dreamer to defeat Michael Elgin and Johnny Impact. On April 1st, Wrestle One final event, Muta teamed with Kaz Hasashi, Masayuki and Kono and Shu Kano unsuccessfully against Kuma Harashi, Satoru Ashino, Da Kai Inaba, and Koji Da.
And then, of course, remember in 2019, Muta would make a surprise appearance at Full Gear as one of the judges in the AEW Championship matchup between Chris Jericho and Cody Rhodes, and then of course back in September at Rampage Grand Slam, he would make an appearance saving Sting from the House of Black.
Yep.
And then of course Muto would announce Pro Wrestling Noah he would win the GHC Heavyweight Championship from Go Shiozaki at the Destination 2021. And in March, he would defend the title successfully against Keita Kiyomaya at Great Voyage. And Masa Kitamiya at Noah the Glory before losing the title to Marufuji at Cyberfight Festival of that year. And then um and then 1 year later at Cyberfest fight, that's where Muto would make the announcement where he would officially retire from professional wrestling in the next year.
Yep, and that's all his career
Yeah.
from wrestling promotions.
Yeah. And man, listen to this championship rundown. Um, of course, three-time Triple Crown champion, All Japan, five-time tag team champion with five different partners. It was an F1 tag team champion, three-time champion Carnival winner. Won the Giant Baba Six-Man Cup with George Heinz Kazayashi. Um, Won both the 2011 Korakuen Hall heavyweight and junior heavyweight battle royals, and a World's Strongest Tag Termination League three-time winner. Um, and he was also the Akio Yoshizawa Cup winner back in 2010 with Masakatsu Funaki and S1 Mask, aka Ryota Hama. Of course, NWA Florida heavyweight champion in Championship Wrestling Florida. In Continental Wrestling, he was like I said, NWA Southeastern United States Junior Heavyweight Champion. Of course, former NWA World's Television Champion and a WCW Tag Team Champion. Um, and NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, all under the WCW banner. Four-time IWGP champion, six-time IWGP Tag Team Champion. Of course, G1 winner in '95. A five-time G1 Tag League winner. He won the MVP in 2001 and won Best Singles Belt against Yuji Nagata on August 12th. Best Tag Team Belt in 2001 with Muta and Hase versus Akiyama and Nagata. That was all of his accomplishments in New Japan. Tokyo Sports Best Bout winner against Go at Destination 2021. Two-time Match of the Year winner against Tenryu in '99, and then with Kenta Kobashi against Toriyano and Takashi Iizuka at All Together in August 2011. It's the 1986 Rookie of the Year, 1990 Tag Team of the Year with Masa Chono, 2005 Tag Team of the Year with Akabono, four-time Wrestler of the Year back in 1995, 99, 2001, 2008. Outstanding performance in '98 from Tokyo Sports. Yeah, I think I got all his accomplishments. Oh, and a special award for in '89 as well. Former GHC World Champion and Tag Team Champion in Noah. Man, like I said, the Global Impact Tournament winner. With Team International back in 2015. WCC Puerto Rico Heavyweight Champion and World Television Champion down in World Wrestling Council. Wrestle One Champion and F1 Tag Team Champion. Let's see. Wrestling Observer game Best Maneuver 2001 with Shiny Wizard. Given Match of the Year with his match for Tenryu. Most Improved Wrestler 2001. Wrestler of the Year 2001. Reader's Favorite Wrestler. And of course, in 1999, Hall of Famer by Wrestling Observer. Yeah, like I said, Muta has definitely had a decorated career.
Yeah, his career is, I would say, very much perfect, very much entertaining, and you can always look back at his matches and look back at his moments, and you can never get tired of it. And not only that, he never had one bad moment. It never make you feel like, oh, he need to be tired. It make you feel like this guy can go. And I heard or I see him make an announcement that he gonna retire at Summer Fight. It's kind of like, damn, he can go still. He got a couple of years under his belt. Um, but he want to leave in his own term, in his own way. And I think if he could go, he could go. But I got a feeling he will make a comeback. And his career, I think, is not done yet. I think he got a lot more journeys to cross over.
And but I would say like for I think like Muda definitely is picking the right time to go because yeah, like I said, for a man who like I said is turning 60 on Friday. Yeah, I was about to say like he's pretty much done virtually anything and everything there is to do in the sport of Japanese wrestling and hell just sort of like wrestling in general. And and to think perhaps the most prominent name to have never worked for WWE. Mhm.
That's true.
Oh, official. Yeah, and I was about to say, like, hell, I was about to say Muda's definitely going to be a part of at least three Hall of Fames. Because despite how things ended with New Japan, he'll definitely be in that Hall of Fame. Definitely be All Japan's as well. Um, and although, like I say, even though he never wrestled for WWE, he'll probably wind up being there too, just because like fans respect him that much. And plus, like at least Triple H respects him that much because I know like I said, he did have a couple of interactions with Muda, like when he was quote unquote terrorizing. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, but to sum this up, yeah, man, all I gotta say is, yeah, Muda-san, thank you for nearly 4 decades of professional wrestling. Yeah, yeah, almost 4 decades of professional wrestling, and I say this from your rivalry with Sting was how I first knew about you when I started watching NWA WCW, to your efforts in New Japan fighting the likes of Chono, Choshu, Inoki, Liger, even down to Tanahashi and Okada and Naito. Honestly, they Muda. I know we tend to use this phrase a lot, but with Muda, it really does apply to him. The man was truly a once in a lifetime athlete, and if you were lucky enough to see him at his peak, and you, yeah, you were just mind blown because that's how much of an effect Muda had, and not just Japan, but look at the receptions he's gotten when he was in the United States, when he was over in England, or like any other part of the world.
Mhm. He was, I say he's the most well loved, well respected person and most well loved wrestler character of all time. Because when you think about character, it's very special. You think about character and make you stand up. Either you cheer for him or boo for him or boo at him. One thing, one thing you can do is respect him, and he has the same level of respect as the Undertaker. Because if you put the two characters together, career side by side,
Mm.
well, one one is flourished than the other. I would say that because Great Muta can switch in and out, and Kenji Muto can pop out. until you can't do that. But but both got good careers, both got great legacy, and his legacy held times. And I could go back and watch his classic match and just pick out one of his favorite moments. My moments from him when he I think him against Antonio Inoki. And one thing I love about him, when he goes that long ass entrance ramp, he run down and give that powerful clothesline. It doesn't matter where is that, he always do that. And that's my favorite moment from him. And hell, will I love to see him go wrestle some more? Yes. Because up at that age, we did the moonsault this year, it made me stop, stop my track like, oh shit, he can still do that move still without being, sloppy or without saying, he needs to stop doing that, but he's still doing his thing. Um, do I expect him to wrestle in WWE in one match? Uh, I want to say it's got to be the right moment. Um, maybe WrestleMania, maybe SummerSlam, maybe, but he'd be retired by then. But Royal Rumble spot probably it, as I believe. But if not, he's the GOAT.
And yeah, yeah, I was like, honestly, when it comes to Muta, it's just like so many things to say, and clearly 2 hours is not enough to like fit all this in. And yeah, honestly, like the things you could say about Muta, yeah, yeah, I don't know if you could honestly fit those in, even if you had, even if you had like a full like mini series of yeah, because it would take that long just to summarize like how much Muda did. And you think about it, especially when you think about how many times he reinvented the Muda character, like the darker Muda came out with that evil mask on,
Ooh,
and hell, even when he was just regular Muda with the different variations of the face paint that he would come out with, and of course to many of the Japanese characters.
yes. And one thing is, Great Muta never gets stale. That's one thing that we all could agree on is he never become boring. Like it's hard to be a boring character with a character like that, with Great Muta. Um, in any decades, in any era, Great Muta always flourished. Hell, even he was part of the NWO at the moment, which it was hot and popular not only in America but in Japan as well. So he kept his name around, and he kept his eyes and ears on in the business. That would keep him going. That's keep his feet going. And not only that, he he passed the torch to the young youth, like Hiroshi Tanahashi, a very young Sasuke Nakamura, in which he will face him next year at the New Year bash, and not New Year bash, New Year event at Noah, in which I cannot wait to see.
And
He willingly to pass down generation and teach them the way of pro wrestling in Japan or any other students in the wrestling. So he's very helpful, and with him living a good year, I think he made his mark.
yes, he did. And yeah, I think like to sum this up, I just want to say one thing. Uta-san, watashi
Yes,
tachi wa nata wa ashi arigato. Translation, Muda, we love you and thank you.
yes. Well, that's the show. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Um, if you love it, share, like, and comment. Same thing on YouTube. And this will be up on Spotify in the next day, so you can go back and listen to it. And for next week episode, that's a
It's Christmas.
Oh yes, it's a Christmas episode, and it will be like a year review, prediction for 2023.
Yeah,
Like a whole list of prediction. I can't wait to
yeah.
unveil. Okay.
And yeah, it's one thing I'm thankful of is that like football's mostly on Saturday. Sure, so,
Yes, playoff time. So
yep,
yes.
yep. And yeah, just wanted to say also, since actually it is holiday time, to any any of our wrestling fans, any wrestling fans who are Jewish, I believe Hanukkah starts tonight at Sunday. Yeah, it starts tonight at midnight. So we want to wish all of you a happy Hanukkah to those who are Jewish. And then of course, everybody, please be safe in these last final days leading up to Christmas. I know you probably might have a little bit of shopping to do. You might have traveling plans. Please be extra safe when you're traveling this week because we want you to celebrate with your loved ones. And yeah, and just right, just be healthy enough to travel and make it back home so you guys can make it to 2023.
Yes. And big things will happen next year. So I'm your boy Heel. That's my partner
Yeah.
Reese, and
Yep.
our boy Antonio out
Oh,
there.
yep. And one more time, just so I can edit the way we started it. This show is about, ladies and gentlemen, from the land of the rising sun, he is the Pearl of the Orient, the Great Muta.
Yes.
And by the way, special thank you, Gary Michael Capetta, for teaching me how to do that damn impression.
Yes. Well, until then, I'm your boy, the Great Heel.
And I am Gary Michael Capetta.
Yes, yes, I'm not spitting no more water out. Anyway, yeah, our
Yeah.
boy Antonio, the Great Antonio. Not the one guy asked me at New Japan, but the real Great Antonio.
Yep.
Until then, always embrace the thirst and always feel the thirst.
Sayonara, amigos.
Peace.